What if looking poor was the secret to getting wealthy? The three of us, meaning my wife and I, as well as our 2-year-old daughter, live a modest life here in Austria. When someone sees us apply discount stickers at the supermarket, they may even assume we're struggling financially. And yet, the truth is we're on track to retire early, in about 2 years if things go well, way before age 40. We do feel rich based on where we are in our life financially at such a young age, and especially compared to any of our peers, but we prefer to look poor. Poor might sound extreme. Let's say we look average. We blend in, and that's exactly how we like it. There are many reasons why we never want to look rich, even in the future as our net worth continues to grow, and today I'll tell you why. Why we choose to look average. But let's start exploring this detail with a quote I've heard recently. Not wanting something is as good as having it. We don't want an expensive car, so we're perfectly happy without one. I'll admit it does help that public transport in Vienna is great. We don't want a luxurious house or apartment. We're happy renting an affordable 3-room apartment. This gives us the flexibility to move anytime in the future, even to another country if we ever have the desire to. In fact, my wife and I chose to live in a studio apartment for many years as the lower rent enabled us to save the vast majority of our monthly income, and we were just as happy sharing a smaller space. Now with a 2-year-old, the extra space certainly makes things a lot easier. But here's the key question I want you to ask yourself. Are you living for other people or for yourself? Most people want a bigger house, a bigger apartment. No matter which size they get, they want a bigger one. They want a pool, they want something better than what they have right now. They want nicer cars, fancier things. But the more stuff you constantly want or have, the more you'll need to work for it, including maintaining everything, and the less time you'll have to actually enjoy it. Maybe if you reflect on what a rich-looking life actually costs you in extra time and energy, you realize that a simpler, more average-looking life might make you much happier. Living for others versus living for yourself. Living below your means results in you being able to save and invest more of your income, which then means you need to trade less and less of your free time for money over the long run. Depending on your situation and your savings rate, you might even be able to retire early one day if you so wish. Now, this doesn't mean you need to actually look poor and put zero effort into how you look. Just make sure you keep your ego in check. You need to find your priorities and live your life according to what's important to you, not what advertisers want you to do or what you think you need to do to impress anyone. The most important people in your life likely won't really care anyway. The social pressure trap. When people assume you have money, they expect you to spend it, not just on yourself, but on them too, which is fine to a certain extent. I love inviting friends and family members for different things, yet it feels so much better when they're not expecting you to cover the bill beforehand. But it goes beyond just other people's expectations. When you try to look wealthy to impress people, you also put pressure on yourself to maintain that image. You buy the expensive watch, so now you need the expensive car to match. You get the fancy apartment, so now you need the designer furniture to fill it. It becomes an endless cycle where your lifestyle inflates faster than your income. The downside of looking successful. In most European countries, financial success isn't celebrated the way it is in the US. It's often viewed with suspicion. People assume you got lucky, cheated the system, inherited everything, or exploited others. After all, they're also working hard yet making so much less. And they believe capitalism means exploiting and taking money from the average worker in order to get rich. Which couldn't be further from the truth, but that's likely because only a small minority of the population actually have any experience investing in stocks and ETFs or any understanding of how the stock market works. Speaking of that, you can find my link to what I consider to be the best low-cost broker in Europe for ETFs down below, which is a great way to support me as I don't do sponsors. Back in 2022, I was invited onto Austrian television to talk about minimalism and investing. It was an interesting experience to be sure, but I've happily declined many more invitations from large Austrian and German TV stations since then. I don't want fame, especially not locally, and all the judgment that can come with it. Because truthfully, I'm in the lucky position to already have everything that matters to me. A happy marriage with an incredible wife, a daughter that's filling me with more joy than I could ever have dreamed of every single day, a relaxed lifestyle thanks to 8 years of saving and investing, and this channel where I get to connect with all of you guys and talk about financial topics that I find interesting or helpful for others. What looking rich really costs. Let's talk numbers, because I think when you see the actual cost of maintaining a rich appearance, you'll understand why we choose differently. Take cars, for example. Living in Vienna with a great public transport system, we luckily haven't needed one yet. Contrary to what many other people in our situation do, meaning with a child, We chose not to get one just in case. As a result, we're able to save an extra 500 euros per month as a conservative average between car depreciation, insurance, taxes, parking, fuel, etc. in Vienna. That may not sound like much, but if you were to invest that money at an average 7% annual return, after 20 years you'd have close to 262,000 euros. And if we actually end up needing a car for a weekend trip or something else, we can always rent one, which is still going to be a lot cheaper. Obviously, your situation may be different and you may need a car. If that's the case, you may still be able to save a similar amount by going with a reliable used car instead of picking a more luxurious vehicle to impress others. The same calculation applies to housing. The difference between a modest 3-room apartment and a fancier place might be 1,000 euros per month. Over 20 years, invested at 7%, that's nearly 524,000 euros, which is life-changing money in my book. Every euro you spend on looking wealthy is a euro that's not working for your future freedom. The psychology of enough. The feeling of enough has less to do with what you have and more to do with what you want. Imagine hitting your 500,000 euro early retirement goal. You did it, you're there. But then your friend sells his startup for 5 million euros. Everybody's celebrating him. There are two ways to deal with this situation. Option 1, you stay grounded. After all, you made it to your goal. You remember your cost of living, your plan, your peace. 500k was enough. It still is. Option 2, you start comparing. You think, wait, I only have 10% of what he has. Maybe I should keep working, push for more. What's a few extra years? But here's the trap. That feeling of not enough doesn't come from your bank account. It came from shifting the goalposts. If you keep doing that, you'll never feel rich, no matter how high you climb. We generally don't want the fancy car, the large house, plus garden, plus pool, the designer clothes. It's not about sacrifice or deprivation. We simply don't find happiness in these things. Teaching our daughter what really matters. Another important reason we maintain this lifestyle is our daughter. At 2 years old, she's already learning what normal looks like in our family. She sees us compare prices and checking ingredients at the grocery store. She sees us using discount stickers when they're available, something that's surprisingly popular here in Austria. Or buying things we need on a regular basis in bulk when they're on sale. To her, this is just normal behavior. We want her to grow up understanding that money is a tool for creating freedom and security, not for impressing other people. Most importantly, we want her to understand that your worth as a person and in society has nothing to do with what you own or spend money on. She's learning that happiness comes from time with family, friends, from freedom, from experiences. Not from buying new things you don't need, looking for the next short hit of excitement that fades just as quickly. These are lessons that will hopefully serve her for a long time. The real payoff, freedom. Here's what I believe to be the most powerful benefit of looking average. Freedom. When your expenses are low, you have options. You don't like your job, you can quit and even take a lower one you enjoy more. If you want to take a year off to travel, take care of your family or pursue a hobby full-time, you can do it. If you want to start your own business, you don't need it to generate high income right from the get-go to support your lifestyle. I would probably have never risked self-employment myself if it hadn't been for a low cost of living when my wife and I were still living in our studio apartment. I'm so grateful that I did. When your monthly costs are manageable, you can take calculated risks that others can't afford to take. Had my business not worked out, we had enough savings to fall back on because our lifestyle was simple. Small habits, big impact. Every small choice we make pursuing a normal life compounds financially, as it means we have more money left over to save and invest at the end of the month. By limiting our restaurant visits to once a week and cooking everything else at home, it remains something special we look forward to on a weekly basis, and we end up spending a lot less on our meals. And since we value cooking and sitting down for a meal together at home, it ends up being a win-win. We also don't care about brands when shopping for groceries or clothes, which also saves us a fair bit of money. To this day, my wife still cuts my hair, which likely keeps an extra 20 euros per week in our pocket. And yes, I've tried doing it myself, but I was never really satisfied with the result, and she told me she doesn't mind. We also cut hers together, saving us even more. These aren't sacrifices that make our lives worse. We eat the same or likely better food, wear clothes that look just as good, and live just as comfortably. But these small choices repeated over time help our nest egg compound and grow faster. The power of staying under the radar. Looking average also helps you build authentic relationships. When people don't know you have money, they treat you like a regular person. You know your friendships are real. Your relationships, including romantic ones, aren't influenced by financial considerations. As for me, I don't want to impress anyone. The only people I care about impressing are myself and, if possible, my wife and daughter, who don't care about expensive stuff. And I know what some of you might be thinking, but what if people think I'm cheap or unsuccessful? Here's the thing. The people whose opinions truly matter won't judge you for living sensibly. And the ones who do, their opinions shouldn't influence your life decisions anyway. If it ever came across as trying to show off when sharing our investment progress, I'm truly sorry. That was never the intention. I only share our numbers in detail to motivate you, to show you what's possible, even in Europe, if you dedicate yourself to reaching a goal. I always found it way more interesting when other people share their financial journeys openly, even though I'm aware that's still a taboo in much of Europe. Looking poor, or rather looking average, has given us everything we actually want in life. More freedom to spend our time the way we want, financial security and peace of mind. Ironically, not trying to look wealthy has helped us build real wealth over time, at least what we perceive to be real wealth. I'm confident it can make your life a lot easier and happier as well. What's the one thing you've chosen not to spend money on, even though everyone else seems to? Let me know in the comments. If you want to start investing yourself, you can find my favorite low-cost brokers for ETFs in Europe in the description below, which is a great way to support me if you'd like to, as I don't do sponsors. And if you want to see my entire investment journey in detail from 2017 until today, including plenty of embarrassing mistakes, make sure you watch this video next. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and until next time.